We want to start with the best team, obviously, the Chicago White Sox. So, Nick, tell me a little about what you think the Chicago White Sox, where their direction's going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had a pretty great year. I mean, 93-69. Nice. I think that their offense would rank like 7th based on OPS and 5th in regards to ERA. So just across the board, like a very solid team. The way that they got out, it was a little bit disappointing, I think, for White Sox fans, because you looked at that team, you had your former MVP on there, Jose Abreu, you have so many nice pieces, and it felt like they really could go deep. Now, I will say one big thing, and, you know, it's like I kind of take this for granted when I'm thinking about the White Sox, but like Jimenez and Robert, like literally like supposed to be their two up and coming like best dudes. We barely saw them last year.
Yeah, they were hurt. They were hurt a lot, and they're signed to long deals. They are going to be the core, and that actually brings me to this: is like Chicago White Sox has built a really nice team to be competitive for a while here. You know, their payroll plus taxes and everything is $174 million. So you know they have a little bit of room to still work with, but a lot of that payroll is going to be there for some time.
Yeah,
right?
I agree, dude, and they have a lot of their core locked down. One guy who I think that the White Sox, you're going to hear a lot of rumblings about this. They have to go out and get this done. He was a stud for them last year, came out of almost nowhere. It's Carlos Rodon. He is a free agent. If he has any liking of the Chicago team, maybe you can get that guy in a little bit of a discount, but I do think like he was massive for their team last year. I think that is a big name that they have to go after.
You know, apparently according to Sport Rock, which looks at contracts and estimates people's values based on their age, based on what they did in their career, he's estimated at $24 million a year, which is a lot of money. However, they have an option, a club option on Craig Kimbrell, who was not as good in the second half and the first half. And he's getting paid $16 million. So if they use that club option and they get rid of him, then yeah, you do have some money, because if you don't, then you're at $200 million now. You're getting close to luxury tax.
Yeah, and that's, you know what I mean? I think that's why they have to cut him loose, guys. Like, I know that Craig Kimbrell, we think about it, we're like, wow, this is one of the best closers in the league. Like, could be, you know, Hall of Fame closer for God's sakes. But it's just like they're thinking, and I heard this from a White Sox thing that I was reading. It's like they're thinking of picking it up and then trying to trade him. And I just don't think that makes any sense, because it's like that just doesn't add up to me.
He has to be really good, though.
He has to be incredible, and then it's like, why would you trade him anyways? I think that $16 million. It's like, if you're gonna spend $16 million on a closer, then that better be the goddamn best fucking closer in the whole league.
Liam Hendricks.
Yes, like you have to make sure, and I'm not 100% sure. So I do think they gotta cut that option out, take that $16 million, and potentially throw it at a guy like Carlos Rodon.
I agree. I agree. Getting him down would be really good. You also got to consider Lucas Giolito in the future. He is arbitration. He's gonna want like something like, you know, 20 plus a million a year. So it's gonna be a balance of how much left can we balance with that last bit of flex spot. So there's little rooms. You can bring Rodon back. If you don't, and I said if you don't bring him, you lose him to free agency. You're like, maybe 24 million is a little too much for a guy who came out of nowhere, right? And you could go get some like shorter term veteran guys to bridge you over to that Giolito extension. Wait for some of the younger guys to develop a little more, like Dylan Cease. You know, you could go get like a Zach Greinke or I'm gonna butcher his name.
Desclafani.
That's not a bad option.
Not at all.
You know?
Not at all.
Get him.
I think also too, a Kevin Gausman would be something very interesting. And this is also a team as well that I would not be shocked if I heard rumblings like we're interested in Max Scherzer, assuming Carlos Rodon's not in on it, or even a Robbie Ray. Like, they're gonna have a long window. We're assuming that Robbie Ray could be good for a while. I think he'd work well here. I also know that White Sox fans, and they do need to address this problem because Nick Madrigal is no longer kind of a thing with them. They got to do something about the second base spot on that team. And frankly, what I would do is I would invest the majority of my money in pitching, and then I would try to get a sneaky under the radar sort of second baseman. I don't think you need, assuming that Robert and Jimenez are healthy, I don't think you need like a massive $20 million bat
you don't.
there.
You don't. I mean, they do have Cesar Hernandez, who also has a club option. So like that's a little sneaky too.
They could pick that up. They could pick that up. I think it was like $6 million for him.
And that's cheap. That's cheap. You know what I mean? So they have options. Yeah, you might go out and get like a Andrelton Simmons, even, you know, something like that.
Yes,
potentially.
yes,
right.
Yes.
So those are a lot of options that we have for those guys. Anything else that you kind of have for them?
I think that's the main thing. I think it's like you got to be willing to spend. I think that we're going to hear them in a lot of the like starting pitcher conversations. I also did hear some rumblings about the White Sox fans being interested in getting like another right fielder. Kyle Schwarber was a name being thrown around. And I hear that. And if you're capable of swinging it, like go after it, man. I don't know where I put that in the totem pole of like priority for me.
Because you have Jimenez and Robert, and like you do have like nicer guys, like Adam Engel is like really cheap, you know. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like you could be okay there.
I think priority one, get the pitching, hopefully Rodon. If you don't do that, go out, get like a nice juicy vet like a Robbie Ray or a Gosman. Then maybe look into that second base spot and make sure that you're saving some money when Lucas Giolito needs it.
Yeah, absolutely.